Hi, I'm Mcrosbie from Finch Cadillac in London, Ontario, Canada, and you're watching Charged and Crosby. A long overdue episode is here. I am a forward-thinking individual and I want to showcase for you guys two vehicles that I think you should know some more about. I'm not trying to get you to drink Kool-Aid. What I'm trying to get you to do is open your horizons to fun and new exciting things from an engineering standpoint here at General Motors. I have beside me an entry-level Optiq showing you exactly what you can get in a Cadillac electric SUV at the entry level. And then over here, a refined, sophisticated sports spec Lyriq. Lyriq has been out for 3 model years now, and we have a performance version, and I'm showing you the loaded version. So this here is as loaded as it gets with performance from General Motors, and over here is our entry level with everything being standard. On today's episode, starting right now. Well, all right, let's get right into it. I really wanted to show you guys what you get out of the gates through General Motors now from a tech perspective and also just a style and luxury perspective. I think one of the biggest themes that I want to get across on the Optiq is that this is just the latest and greatest that Cadillac has to offer, and it just so happens to be an EV. There's so many things that we're going to talk about, from the Dolby Digital sound system that's in here, where there's 14 channels of sound, so you can independently change the trumpet and have it so that it maybe starts over here and then goes to a speaker behind you. You can have 14 different things creating a symphony of sound inside of your Optiq. You used to have to go to the IMAX to do that, and now you can do it on this standard entry level. And that's, again, the theme that I want to talk about, is everything that you see on this Lyriq other than the Monarch orange paint is a standard option. There's a lot of things that I also want to debunk about the Optiq. This is a compact SUV, but in no way is it a compact SUV. We're going to talk about the materials inside of the vehicle. That's kind of, in my opinion, a victory lap in terms of what you get. And then range. That, to me, I think is the biggest thing that we need to focus on, making sure that we showcase for people and giving them a lot more evidence to support their lifestyle if they were to transition. This is the Goldilocks of SUVs, and I think it's also one of the perfect vehicles to help you in transitioning from a gas vehicle to an electric vehicle. That is probably the biggest credo that we're going to focus on with the Optiq. Now, this is a victory lap, pardon the pun, because this is our performance-based V-spec, as you can see from down here. It's not a Blackwing, because Blackwing means that it's a track-specific model. That's why you don't see a Blackwing Escalade, but you do see it in a CT5. The Lyriq has been out, like I said earlier, for 3 model years. So they've done some refining. They've changed things. You know, we used to have handles up here. We used to have a different charge door. We're changing it to a different type of charge adapter. The seats are different because this is a performance spec, and obviously the performance to go with it. There's still tons of fun little Easter eggs, like the Menards that were on the original Cadillac Crest, and that's some things that you can see on this one. So the performance of this is what we're going to talk about, and how they've kind of showcased what the best of our EV and luxury has to offer in a sedan SUV. This is actually higher, and we'll go over that as well. But the Lyriq and its size and its style is definitely something that has come onto the scene in the EV segment and been a statement maker to be conservative. I think that is the underlying theme for the Lyriq, is that why does it have to be a conventional, electric vehicle where they're very hyper simplistic? There's not a lot of things other than a huge screen that gets smudged up because you have to touch 8 times to get it to do a heated steering wheel. Having knurling, which is a machining of the edges on here, or having a very nautical way of designing the HVAC controls, is something that I just think everyone would come to love. Fine touch materials and having ambient lighting is something that a lot of people do. For example, Mercedes-Benz, by putting the seats controls up here is something that's been done before, but having it on an EV vehicle is something that for some reason is lacking. And this is just a breath of fresh air in terms of seeing the functional design and it having a traditional format, even though it's an EV. So that's something that we're going to be talking about at length on this. The Optiq is the younger sister to the Lyriq, and we're in a segment called a compact SUV. It is actually the largest in terms of storage. And on that topic, I'm going to use some more functional design in the back here, where you can press this emblem here and it will open up. And when the seats are down like this, there's actually only 2 cubic feet of storage less than a Lyriq. It has a very, very wide wheelbase. I wish I had an XT5, which is the sister gas vehicle in terms of size to the Optiq here. But what I'm wanting you to focus on here is the wheelbase. So the wheelbase on a Optiq or a Lyriq is quite wide. I don't know if you can take a mental picture and now reference it with this terrain, which would be similar in nature but slightly smaller. The wheelbase is very wide on these, and that gives it such an amazing stance for being able to handle and perform. That also allows it so that it can have a huge inside. The other thing that's really amazing about this is that even though it is a low profile vehicle compared to other SUVs, so even this Terrain, which is smaller, is got a lower roofline than this Optiq. Just looking around, I should have really done a better job of preparing myself for this. I'm looking desperately for an XT5 and I can't find one. This is a sister vehicle to the XT5 built at the same facility in Spring Hill, Tennessee. This is the Acadia, and it's the previous gen Acadia because the new one would be built in Michigan and it's a bigger one. But this is when they decided to downsize the Acadia for a generation, and we're going to take this height. So if you can see here, this will be the same height as a XT5 because of the same guts underneath. It got about to my cheekbone, and we're gonna go over here to the Optiq, and as you can see, it comes below my chest, above my chest, below my head. That's the word I was looking for. Why am I going on this weird rant? Well, with this huge panoramic glass sunroof, it has more shoulder room and headspace than an XT5. So because of that, and the stance and how the architecture of an EV vehicle works, we're able to utilize the interior of these a lot more. And again, this is the largest storage and size in an interior in the entire segment. So, you know, I think what I'm trying to get around is the notion that the Optiq is the little sister, and now you've got a small vehicle that's also an electric vehicle. And, you know, I was concerned about the range, but now I'm also going to be concerned about the size. Have no fear. Cars and Crosby's here to debunk those for you. So, size, really great. Again, 2 cubic feet less of space when the seats are down. The Lyriq is a long vehicle. This is actually the second longest vehicle that General Motors makes. The only thing that's longer than it is an ESV Escalade for now. And then when the IQL in the 2026 model year comes out, that will be the longest vehicle that we make. So this Lyriq is a land yacht, and she's stylish. I love her. She's absolutely gorgeous from head to toe. I'm particularly a fan of the fastback design that you see on both of these Cadillacs. Not sure if you're aware of this, but every single Cadillac that has ever been made has had vertical tail fin lights. That is a styling cue that is on every single Cadillac ever built. Try me on that. Find one and comment, and if you do, send me your address privately and I will send you a gift. But I won't have to send a gift because every single Cadillac ever made has a vertical tail fin. That to me is a really cool homage that you see played out throughout the vehicle. It's a lot of creative energy that you see on these. From an engineering perspective, another fun, quirky thing that is new for 26 model year and on the Optiq is the ability to have the tailgate just open up as is. Now, this isn't going to open up for me right now because I have it in auxiliary mode so that the air conditioning's blasting. It's quite a hot day finally here in Canada, and we are embracing it. But if I was to just walk up to this and I had my keys with me, and I stood behind the vehicle, it's going to beep at me and then the tailgate is going to open up. That to me has a peace of mind that there was somebody out there that was engineering something that sometimes isn't easy to showcase in a commercial, but in reality of life, that is worth its weight in gold and gives you that value that makes you feel like you made the right decision. Now, why is this such an important thing? Well, up in Canada here, we have winter. And when you have winter, you have slush and stuff that will accumulate on what we thought was a good idea of having, you know, a thing that shines down, you kick underneath it, and then it opens it up. Two things to note about that. First thing, you're off center, you're off kilter when you're doing that, especially if you're carrying stuff. And that's just not safe from an ergonomic and functional perspective, but also because of our Canadian winters, they got caked up. They got covered in slush and muck and dirt, and they never worked for the most part, unless it was a clean summer day like today. So when you just come to the back of your vehicle and you stand here with your hands full of groceries, you don't have to do a single thing. You don't have to lean back and kick. It just opens up for you. And that's one of those things that I just think, you know, an engineer was there thinking about you and they put it on the vehicle and you can thank them when you get it. The range. The range is something that has also really been a big thing that a lot of people have a very shallow objective to. And I'm going to trigger some people because I know there's a lot of them out there that are saying, you know, you don't know me. How would you know what range is good for me and whatnot? And I got to tell you, there's not a lot of scenarios where I think that this isn't going to handle your needs. And the other thing on that topic is this vehicle, just like a lot of other gas vehicles, may not be for you. You know, not everyone needs a Camaro. If you got 4 kids, probably not a good choice. That burns dinosaurs and it's not a good choice. And there's some electric vehicles out there that may not be a good choice for your lifestyle as well. If you're wanting a very long range, we do have some things such as the Sierra EV, the Silverado EV Max range, also an Escalade IQ right now that have a 750 kilometer range. This here has 486 kilometers on one charge. Now, that is, you know, a reasonable amount, but where I want to put the mic drop on this is what happens when you get through that 486 kilometers of range. If you go to a fast charging station, which after 486 kilometers of driving, I would hope you have to go to the bathroom, grab a bite to eat, or stop and say hi with somebody, and you do that for 10 minutes, you're going to get another 127 kilometers of range. That means that if you go from a full charge all the way to the bottom, you charge it up for 10 minutes, and then you go on for the rest of it, you're going to get 613 kilometers of range. I don't know about you, but I'm going to call it a day after that much driving. And if you want to do more than that, then again, just go somewhere and charge up for another 10 minutes, and the show goes on with your leapfrogging adventure. That to me is the reason why I say it's a shallow objective, is because, you know, when you're looking at charging up this vehicle, you're not charging it up like you do with a gas tank, where you go to a gas station and you put the nozzle in and you fill it all the way up. You're only going to charge it to where you need to go to your final destination. And with the Google built-in operating systems that we have in these vehicles, it makes it so that it's absolutely money when it comes to trying to coordinate and set up a trip. If you want to do it last minute, I'm going to try on this vehicle live on a one take. Hopefully it works. I haven't set this up yet, and I haven't also paired to the Bluetooth. So this should actually, in theory, work. It's in a demo mode, so that means that it doesn't have all the OnStar and internet fully on board yet. But we're going to try for the sake of keeping this show on the road. Okay, Google, take me to the Air Canada Center.
Navigating to Scotiabank Arena.
Boom. So I said Air Canada Center, which is where the Toronto Maple Leafs like to lose, because that is the old name for it. Google is smart. Google is integrated into this vehicle, and it knew that I meant a arena that's no longer named that, and it hasn't been named that for over 3 or 4 years. And it chose the destination, put it in here, and as you can see, it also put the range that's going to be on this Optiq when I get there. That is what I'm talking about in terms of a Google integration. You can talk to this in a nonchalant manner, and you can tell it whatever you want, and it will do it efficiently. That to me is something that speaks volumes about the engineering and the lifestyle that you can have with your vehicle. When it comes to range anxiety, it's basically non existent because if I'm looking at this route and I wanted to charge up in some place, I can easily do that. So let's now find a further destination. Okay, Google, take me to Parliament Hill in Ottawa, Ontario.
Navigating to Parliament Hill.
See how fast it is? I honestly, this could have gone really bad. This little blast radius right here that you see, that is the range before the Optiq will run out. So if I wanted to charge this vehicle up, that's the type of radius that I would have in order to find somewhere. And this comes to a second point that I want to talk about on a little mini rant related to range. Who says that you need to be a NASCAR pit crew and get that charge done in 10 minutes right on the dot? In this trip that we're taking to our nation's capital, you could, I'm just trying to get a better view here for you guys, you could stop along the way somewhere and kill two birds with one stone. For example, if you wanted to take the side route here, you could go to Weber's, which is a really nice charcoal grill place. There's one of the largest apples in the world here in Whitby that you could stop and get an apple pie at. Or maybe you want to meet a friend or go to Prince Edward County to go get some wine. Whatever you want to do, there is going to be a charging station that you can plot your course on well in advance. This is the last line of defense in terms of finding a place for you to charge, which is doing it in your Google built-in apps on the fly. You can also use your My Cadillac app and plot this well in advance. You're watching a show or you're with some friends and you're wanting to plan a road trip. You can do it all from your phone in your app and find a mutual destination where you could do an activity and also charge the vehicle up. So for example, okay, Google, take me to Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Navigating to Bowling Green.
When I went to the Corvette plant, I stopped at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and charged up there. And then I also stopped in Cincinnati and hit some golf balls at a Top Golf. And I was able to kill two birds with one stone. I was able to see some rock and roll history, and I was able to hit some dingers, and it was perfect. You know, I charged up at the same time as I was doing it, and so that's what I'm trying to get at here is that you can look at this and have some range anxiety that you have to wait and charge the vehicle up. In reality, I don't really plan on driving more than 600 kilometers in a day, but if you wanted to, find a place to stop to eat. Maybe there's a cool restaurant that you've been wanting to go to, and this is a really efficient way of traveling, and it's all integrated. So just to remind you, this is a standard Optiq. And with that, the other mic drop is that you cannot have your hands on the steering wheel. This is a full hands-free autonomous driving experience that in the entire time that you drive to Bowling Green, the Scotiabank Arena, or Parliament, you could have it driving on a 400 series highway or an interstate all on its own. All major highways now are almost officially mapped. There's 1.2 million kilometers of roads that have been mapped and that you can drive your Cadillac with Super Cruise. Now, it's not just for the sake of having it so that it drives itself. I think one of the other most valuable applications that I've noticed with the Super Cruise, which is this right up here, is traffic. In stop and go traffic, especially if you're going into a major metropolitan area, you will notice that this can get a little cumbersome if you're stopping and going. And I'm sure you've been there before where you weren't paying attention and you left a gap and someone shot right in there. With this Super Cruise, it always keeps that same distance when you're using this here to adjust the gap. So I call it when you're rural driving, you're going to press and have it here. And then when you get into a GTA or a major metropolitan area, you're going to shorten that distance so that no one swoops in and takes that spot. So that is another hidden benefit of Super Cruise. And believe it or not, when you leave your Cadillac, you're going to feel a lot better because you didn't actually have to ride through that traffic jam or drive that 700-kilometer road trip or 613-kilometer road trip, focusing on all the actions. You could just have your eyes out scanning the road, which is obviously something that you need to do, and that's what this here is for, is to make sure that you're paying attention. And feel refreshed at your destination instead of having that taxing you during your day. So I think that is a really important thing to note about the Google built-in system that is on all of our Cadillac vehicles, and it is a standard option including Super Cruise. This is all standard. This interior here comes in a couple of different options. I chose this one again because it's base. And on that topic, I want to talk about this material in particular. This is made out of recycled water bottles. And, I think that that's great, but I'm a real big fan of functional design. This, because it's made of a plastic material, it won't fade and it won't pill like a fabric would. So if you have a linen interior, such as on our Escalade Platinums, that's something that we have seen show wear and tear a little bit more than a normal interior. And a lot of people are concerned about why we're putting this material in. And great, we're saving and recycling vehicles or plastic, but more importantly, it's actually to absorb acoustics, because the sound system inside of this vehicle and the quietness of the ride is one of the best that I've ever seen. And again, this is an entry level Cadillac. So this is something that you get out of the gates with that whole experience that is bar none one of the best. And when I'm talking about the best, I'm talking about this. This is the AKG sound system that is standard on the Cadillac Optiq and is available now on all 2026 model year Cadillacs. The sound system has 14 channels that can independently play sound. What that means is that if you have a acoustic noise like a trumpet or a tambourine that you wanted to have playing, or I don't want to have, the producer that made the music wanted to have playing, they will independently put it in there. And then a lot of the times with Spotify or any other sound system in general, they compress that all down. With the Dolby Atmos sound system, it does not have to compress it. All those 14 channels of sound are all playing independently, and that is what creates just the most immersive sound experience while it's driving itself. And if you have the option of getting the level 2, you can get a massage all at the same time. This is something that just sounds surreal to me, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about what's going on at Cadillac, is the fact that I can get a massage while the car is driving itself, and I can listen to a sound system and a song that is exactly how the producers at a sound studio wanted the sound to be made. AKG is mainly a company that is made for studios. So when it comes to your most famous artists, they're usually performing in a studio with a producer, and they're using an AKG sound system, and that's now inside of your entry level Optiq. That to me is a mic drop, pardon the pun. I get goosebumps. Well, I'm so excited about that kind of stuff, and the fact that we're now in, a compact SUV segment, and these are standard options that come on it. It's not something that you have to go to the top of the line vehicle in order to get. So we'll leave that on a high note for the Optiq. I really think that this is something that you should look at. The range, in my opinion, is not something that you should be concerned about, especially if you don't plan on driving more than 400 kilometers in a day. If you're commuting, this is probably going to be one of the best vehicles that you could get. An electric vehicle in general is going to reward you the more that you drive it. So if you do drive a lot of kilometers, the most efficient thing you can do for your wallet is get an electric vehicle, because you're going to offset oil changes, brake jobs, transmissions, gas. There's a bunch of mic drops right in there. I'm going to keep using that reference as much as I can because of a Dolby sound system. So yeah, that's the Optiq, and I am quite a fan of it. The Lyriq. I had a Lyriq, and I got out of it because I had to keep the show going, and I have been circling this like a shark, wanting to get one. We've got a train coming in, so we're going to hop inside the Lyriq for a second, and then once the train is gone, we're going to go back on the outside. It just smells like real fancy materials inside of here. This is the premium or the level 2 Lyriq. Just gonna turn the sound system down, or the fan down. The fine touch materials inside of here are top notch. This is the option seat that comes in the level 2, and you can see a really beautiful stitch design that you have on here. The AKG sound system is also on the Lyriq. So that is something that came for the 2026 model year, to have the Dolby and the AKG. So that to me is going to be a really amazing thing, an immersive experience. Another really awesome option that's added onto the Lyriq, because we're getting into what used to be the flagship spec until the Escalade IQ came along, is the augmented reality heads-up display. There are two heads-up displays on here, and I should have, you know what, let's go with my luck here. We already nailed it with doing it on the Optiq. Let's try to do it on this one as well. Okay, Google, take me to, where do we want to go? Let's take me to Finch Chevrolet or Finch Cadillac. Oh, I don't know if this one's been set up yet. Anyways, I pushed my luck. If this was working, and the reason why it hasn't is because it hasn't gone through the shop for its pre-delivery inspection, so the internet isn't set up yet. You would have your heads-up display, which I don't know if you, oh yes, you can see it. There is your heads-up display. Now, there's a secondary heads-up display that will come up here and will push directions up on the screen. I think that that is absolutely incredible. And as I say that, I can actually see the secondary one there. You can see it right where that GMC is. See the lines that are there from the gap? I'm going to start adjusting it so that you can see that I'm modifying it. See that? That is in the center of your screen by the GMC white Acadia. That is where your augmented reality navigation will come up. That was adjusting the gaps for your heads up, or for your Super Cruise, and that to me was awesome, that I was able to totally redeem myself with an on-the-fly demo in a Lyriq that hasn't been put on the road yet of what augmented reality heads-up display is. That is the latest and greatest in terms of ergonomics for when you're driving. So adding to the whole mic drop of the you're driving with it autonomously. You have a Dolby Digital Atmos sound system playing "Pimp Like a Butterfly" by Kendrick Lamar, and you are getting a massage with your seats. Now, on top of that, you are having a dual heads-up display augmenting where you need to turn next, or where the car is going to turn next, so that you can see it all on your dash. And I shouldn't really extrapolate on this, but I'm going to be a dreamer. This needs to be on the next Corvette, or the next update for the Corvette. You know, with you having a performance vehicle, having your eyes on the road and looking and scanning for things is extremely important. And by having the heads-up display there, so that your eyes never need to leave for anything, it's pretty remarkable. You know, you don't need to go over and touch this display that much, because you can do voice commands for everything. Okay, Google, change the temperature to 21 degrees on the driver's side. Poor guy. Oh,
Okay, changing the temperature for
it
the
did it.
driver to
It's
21
normally a lot
degrees.
faster. You saw what it was like in terms of the speed on the Optiq. This old girl, she's only a few days old, and we're going to give her a break, because she's probably not had any software updates since she left the factory down in Tennessee. So that's remarkable. So as you can see there, the call to action to be able to change just the driver's side temperature through my voice while I'm looking and scanning the road is one of the many things you can do. And I was talking with an engineer the other day, and they're adding a lot more of the voice commands to there. You can ask it to tell you a joke. You can get it to change the ambient lighting in the next software update. There's a lot of things that you can do now just with your voice. And again, and it's in a nonchalant manner, and it may not even be perfect grammatically. You might say or pause for a second. Someone might interject. And it still will pick up on it. And that to me is important, because it's one thing to say that you have a feature, and it's another to be able to actually apply it in a realistic lifestyle scenario. And that's what I'm really proud to showcase on this. It's not just a scripted environment like I'm on a cooking show and I'm going to pull from underneath the counter a completed dish that I didn't show you 3 of the ingredients from. This is on the fly live, and I want you guys to see how amazing and intuitive the new Cadillacs that are EVs are. So styling, really top notch. You know, speakers in the headrest, beautiful stitching. You've got open pore wood with ambient lighting coming through here. You've got these beautiful bezeled knobs all throughout this Cadillac. It just, again, it doesn't really give me the vibe that I'm in an electric car. It just looks like the next best thing from Cadillac, and it just so happens to be electric. So Yeah, the train is gone and we got a couple minutes left, and I just want to show you the outside because there are some differences that have come to the Lyriq on the outside. The wheels here, these are a new wheel that came for the V. As you can see, we also have a beautiful 6-piston Brembo brake on there, so that is a massive brake to help out because these things do weigh a bit. They weigh about 5,300 pounds, so there is a lot of weight, and you want to have those brakes to help out. We've got a beautiful light choreography that happens on both of these for when you approach it, which is awesome. And then you got the charge port. Press the Cadillac crest, it comes down, and then there's your DC fast charging right in there. On the topic of charging, you do also get 2 cables in the back that you can plug into a regular wall outlet or a 240 volt outlet. The regular wall outlet, let's say that you're going to go camping and you're going to bring this up north. Ooh, this is already so packed up. I'm going to show you it on the Optiq really quickly. Let's say that you're going up camping and there's nowhere to charge the vehicle. On the topic of that range anxiety, you can plug the car into the wall and get 5 kilometers of range. So if you're there for 3 days in the middle of nowhere, that's not going to be an issue because you've had 36 hours or 72 hours of charging at 5 kilometers an hour. That'll get you back to where you needed to go. Um, should have had this prepared as well. I apologize, guys. That there gets you 5 kilometers an hour. It goes into the end of this Ultium unit here, and then this goes into the end of your car. And if you're fortunate enough to find a 240 volt somewhere, that'll give you 40 kilometers of range. So I will be doing more lifestyle videos in the future. I just wanted to give you guys, in my opinion, an introduction to these two vehicles and why I really think that you should consider them. They're not too small. Because of the architecture, they actually have a lot of space inside. They don't have range anxiety because if you do want to take it out for a drive, they've got 486. In this one, it's a similar range, but on a non-V, it's 505 kilometers of range. And when you charge it for just a short time on a DC fast charger, you're going to get 120 kilometers in just 10 minutes. That to me is a breath of fresh air if you are looking at taking advantage of this beautiful weather that we have right now and getting on the open road. I'm Morgan Crosby from Finch Cadillac. If you're interested in learning more about this, my email's in the comments section. Have a great day.